Wow. I can't say that what we witnessed today, well, yesterday, by the time this video comes out, but what we witnessed at the Etihad. I can't say that I ever expected that. A City win? Sure, of course. But the domination to this level of a team like Real Madrid, nah, that's a lot to take in. And we'll do so now. Hey, I'm Adrian, this is Rabona TV, and if you're new here, then be sure to subscribe, not just for more videos like this one, but for videos like Roots of the Rivalry, which will be out tomorrow. Big derby in Spain this weekend. In fact, if you ask Spaniards, they'd tell you it is the biggest derby in Spain. But hey, we'll see. Anyway, let's talk City vs Real. What I found to be interesting about Real Madrid's 11 was how Ancelotti chose to replace Rudiger, who dealt with Haaland so well last week, with the returning Eder Militão. No shade on Militão or Don Carlo, who knows more than all of us do about football, but this felt a little bit surprising. You have Rudiger, who was all over Haaland, dealt with him handily and was in his head at times perhaps, and then you throw in Militão instead. But other than that, it was the same with Valverde and Kroos as a double pivot and that classic front three. For City, completely unchanged, the exact same lineup, and City were all over them early, with most of their good play coming down the right-hand side, where Bernardo was simply magic in this one. Sure, you also had Haaland played in down the left, where he rounded Courtois and cut back to, unfortunately for him, nobody. But moments later, Rodri showed how he can beat a man. Then just when you were expecting a Rodri bomb, he scuffed it wide of the goal. But as the match went on, their attacks varied a bit, and a lovely ball in from Jack Grealish should have been headed in by Haaland, but he somehow scuffed it, and it was cleared off of the line. If you were to be, nitpicky and choose a part of Haaland's game that is the weakest, and that's in air quotes, weakest, it would be his heading. And he'd tell you the same, honestly. Even if he has improved, that was a gilt-edged chance. However, later in the half, Haaland would have another shot at converting with a header, and he got it right this time. But Thibaut Courtois made a ridiculous full-stretch save to deny him. Man, with the quick change of direction that Courtois had to make, what a keeper. What a keeper he has become. Incredible shot stopper. However, it felt like Real Madrid were relying on him a little too much in some ways. Almost as if Real were saying, hey, let's let them tire themselves out early, have Thibaut Courtois bail us out the entire match, and then we'll try to kill them right at the death like we did last year. At the time, it was 80% possession for City, 20 for Real Madrid. But the magician Bernardo Silva punished them in the 23rd minute, and there wasn't much that Courtois could do. I know, it's a goal at the near post, people like to laugh at that, but it was a brilliant one from Bernardo. Just when it looked like he was opening up his body to curl it into the far post, he hit it inside the near post. That's very difficult for the keeper. Also, don't sleep on the build-up to that goal, as Bernardo, Stones, and De Bruyne all combined well, with De Bruyne needling a perfect pass through to Bernardo for this one. City were really bossing the game in every department. Well, maybe besides saves. And speaking of De Bruyne, I want to pull up a tweet from Stefan Biankowski, who really summed up exactly how I feel about De Bruyne. Stefan wrote, "Always struck by how easy Kevin De Bruyne makes it look on nights like this. Arguably the best playmaker of the PL era, and he just floats through these games as if nobody knows who he is." It's so true. And finally, after 31 minutes, Real started to attack a bit. First, Kyle Walker doing well to shepherd Vinicius, and later, Toni Kroos ripping a missile off the crossbar. That would have been a dagger into the atmosphere at the Etihad, but man, I think I heard that crossbar rattling from Montreal. That was a heavy strike. By the way, Bernardo would score another one, a rebound falling to him, and he would guide a header very nicely into the far corner. Calm. By the way, I want to talk about the Camavinga problem. He's a brilliant player and he has done super well at left back, but he thrives there when Real Madrid are attacking. When they are pinned back like this and he has to defend one-on-one, he gets pulled out of position too easily. And so what was Bernardo's main job on the night on the right flank for City? Pull Camavinga away from Alaba, and then either he himself or one of his teammates try to occupy that space that has been vacated. Play on the front foot. Camavinga is a solid left back. Play defensively and force him to mostly defend rather than attack, and Camavinga will be exploited by the opponents, as City did. Also, did you notice how most of the crosses came from the left to the right in the first half and often to the back post? Who do you think Haaland was constantly trying to get into duels with? Camavinga, of course, and he nearly scored on one of those duels if not for Courtois' intervention. But anyway, Man City was the only team playing in that first half. You know how people always say that statistics don't always tell the whole story of a match? That's true, you know, but this match was the exception. Just look at this. City with 72% possession, 13 attempts to Real Madrid's 1, XG of 1.81 for City, while Real Madrid's 0.01. That's insane, no? Also, I got to give some credit to Jack Grealish as well, as he has developed into such a fantastic player and creative outlet down the left for City. He plays in so many dangerous balls. He isn't afraid of taking on his man, and hell, you can tell that defenders just hate the guy, which works well for him. It's a good thing for him. After last season, I was skeptical as to whether he could really step it up at City if it was a bridge too far for him, but he's gone and done it. He's become an integral player for Pep. In the second half, Real Madrid began to play a lot more football, and at times it looked like Vinicius or Benzema would be able to produce something as they charged up the pitch at speed. However, with every failed attack, City would just casually move the ball forward in no real rush, as Real's attackers were chasing shadows trying to close down the ball. Really felt like City were just trying to tire Real Madrid out at that point. But the attacks from City never really relent. I mean, they did it in comparison to the first half, but they never really relented. The difference was that in the second half, their final ball into the box or to play someone into some space was lacking. There were moments where you felt they were about to punish Real again, only for the final ball to be off. As for changes that Ancelotti made, in the 63rd minute, he brought on Rudiger for Modric, which led to Camavinga being rotated into the midfield and Alaba playing at left back. Immediately, Camavinga was much better in his natural position, brought a lot of running into the midfield. I mean, he's spoken at length that he is not a left back, that he prefers the midfield, and that he only plays left back to help the team out. But you saw once he was in the midfield how much energy he brings. But anyway, no matter where he was on the pitch, he and the rest of his teammates couldn't stop City from scoring a third, or couldn't stop themselves from scoring a third for Man City, as a free kick, that Grealish won of course, was whipped in and touched lightly by Akanji before Militão guided it in beautifully past Courtois. I mean, Haaland was trying all night to beat Courtois. He just needed Militão to do it for him. And out came the Poznan in the stands. At 4-1 down on aggregate, 3-0 on the night, Real Madrid started forcing saves out of Ederson, 2 of which were within 5 seconds of each other. But that was all we saw from them, really, because once Haaland came off for Alvarez, well, Foden, another sub, threaded a brilliant ball through to Alvarez, and he slotted it past Courtois. This is how good the City side is. One of the best players from Argentina's World Cup winning campaign can barely get a look in at times. Foden and Mahrez off of the bench. It's just unfair for everyone else. And on top of that, you have the best manager in the world in Pep Guardiola to tie it all together, and he got everything completely correct in this one. He and his City side dismembered Real Madrid slowly and in front of their families without batting an eyelash. This was the definition of domination, and it was against Real Madrid of all teams, the kings of this competition, the team that has absolutely dominated this competition over the last decade. Very impressive from City. Very impressive from City, as they are playing some insane football at the moment in every competition. Well, besides the EFL Cup. And so for City, they have a few finals to think of, don't they? They beat Chelsea at the Etihad this weekend, and they're Premier League champions. They also have the FA Cup final to worry about against Manchester United, and then the Champions League final up against an Inter side that they would do well not to take lightly. Sure, Inter aren't the favorites by any stretch, but anything can happen. And the point remains that City have a 100% losing record in the Champions League finals. That's a nice way to massage the numbers, eh? No, but seriously, I do believe in the saying that you got to lose a final before you can win one, and so it's hard to look past City, all things considered. But hey, we're getting too deep into the previewing territory for that final, so I'm going to guard my tongue for now because I have plans of making a final preview, of course. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video and the match as much as I did, and hey, I'll see you back here tomorrow for Roots of the Rivalry. Sound good? Good. Ciao, guys.